So the Shastra Adhyayana Krama that we have been studying, we have pretty much come to the end of the methodology. But it will be, our study will be incomplete without paying respect for those rishis who established this methodology, and for those rishis who followed this and then were able to become the mantra drashtaras or the seers of the mantra. So today we will see the quality of the makers of the Shastra, the makers of the Rishi. So the purpose of this today's session is for all of us to understand that each and every one of us is capable of achieving that state of a sage, that state of a Rishi. And whatever work that our sages have done, our rishis have done, all we need to do is follow the same template. So if we follow the same template, if not in this janma, if not in the coming of 10 janmas or 100 janmas or 1000 janmas, at least in the beginning of the next kalpa, that means the entire universe is absorbed, and then a whole new universe is created, and a whole new universe is created, we will take as a birth as a new jiva, and in that jiva, let us prepare ourselves for Parabrahman, for the Creator Prajapati, to choose us, to give those mantras. So, just so that we can have a resolve, for not only for this janma, for the rest of whatever number of janmas we are going to take, to understand how a rishi is made. So that's the subject matter today. So the first definition of who a rishi comes from Yaska or Yaskacharya, who was the one who gave us the Vedanga, or the branch of the Veda, branch of the Shastra, which interprets and gives the etymology of the Vedic word. His composition is called Nirukta. So in the Nirukta of Yaskacharya, a person becomes a rishi, Rishir Darshanat. So a person becomes rishi by means of a vision, Darshanat. So one who has this darshana is capable of seeing the mantra. So if you slightly go deeper into this particular word, Rishir Darshanat, that means he sees something that is already there. One. Secondly, he sees from a vision that is not ordinary. So he has an extraordinary vision, and it is something that he sees. So put in other words, this knowledge is revealed to him. I am emphasizing because otherwise Veda's apaurushayatvam, or that it is not man created, can never be understood. However, what is that apaurushayatvam, or that which is not humanly created? It is the idea and not the word. So please don't misunderstand. Lot of people have quarreled and heads have rolled because people have taken the Vedic mantra by the word. The word is only a language, and the language is part of the prapancha, as we had a detailed discussion in our class yesterday. It is part of the prapancha, and how can a tool which belongs to a prapancha explain what is beyond prapancha? So therefore there is a anyonya asadharanatvam, but an idea can be expressed by a rishi very adequately, and therefore he is a mantra darshanat rishi. So why do we actually say in every mantra we have to know who is the rishi, devata, chandas? It is because the authorship is ascribed to a rishi, since he articulates the idea which is superhuman, which is not available for human So apaurushayatva idea, he puts it in very perfect words which not even one syllable can be changed. In that fashion he says, so how and to whom the mantras are revealed is the next question. There are certain qualities that are required that we have to cultivate if we need to become the rishis at some point of time. First and foremost is we need asceticism. Asceticism is to be impervious to the comfort of the body. That is why we say you study hard, get up early in the morning. Because it is a punishment of the body, isn't it? We would definitely like to sleep in, but then you must push yourself and get up early in the morning, learn, because the time you have lost will never come back to you. It is lost forever, isn't it? You will never get back yesterday. So this is asceticism, and that asceticism should be there for every one of us who want to achieve anything. Even some money, if you want to achieve, you must be able to follow this asceticism. But asceticism itself is not enough, you also require penance. So the second thing that we require is tapas or penance. And then the third is knowledge should be acquired in its totality and not in fragments. Because any fragmented knowledge is dangerous and confusing. Therefore, total knowledge. So you may recall a quote that I gave you very long time back in the very beginning of our Shastra Vichara. There is memory of the past, and it is called Smriti. There is the awareness of the present, it is called Buddhi. There is the projection into the future because of the past and present experience, it is called Mati. So all of us are given Smriti, Buddhi and Mati. But something more than that is given for these people, it is called Prajna. Prajna means wisdom. And even wisdom is inadequate for a person to become Rishi. It must become Navanavonmesha Shalini. That means every single moment it must be rejuvenated for something more beautiful, better and more charming and more meaningful. Then it becomes Pratibha. Loosely translated, it is talent. What is the beauty of talent? The same learning material is available to everybody, but one excels in it because of the talent. This talent is because he is able to harmonize Smriti, Mati, Buddhi and Prajna and build on it. So the original quote was Smritihi Vyatita Vishaya, that which is already past. Matihi Agami Gochara, Buddhihi Tatkaliki Prokta, Prajna Saikaliki Mata. Simple Sanskrit. Prajnam Nava Namonmesha Shalinim Pratibham Viduhu. So this was the eminence of our rishis. Number 4, that is asceticism, penance, totality of knowledge, which is prajna and pratibha. Number 4, and very importantly, spirituality. Because without one being spiritual, one acknowledging Ishvara, one saying that God, the Ananta or the infinite cannot be known, and with that humility, when one goes, at that point of time, the chances of a person becoming a Rishi is very high. In addition to that, a Rishi, a Vedic Rishi is actually an epitome of the two of the Ashtangas, as pointed out by Patanjali, which is Yama and Niyama. Without Ahimsa, Satyam, Asteyam, Aparigraha, Shaucha, Santosha, Tapaswadhyaya, Ishvara Pranidhana, it's a prerequisite for a person to become a Rishi. Most of these Rishis were actually in the family, because as soon as we are talking about all these things, you will say, well, it is not for me, I am a householder, I am a grihastha, I have got employment, I have got children, I have got husband. That's what we would say, and this is not for me. Let us see if we can take birth next time and then without getting into any samsara. No. All these rishis were in samsara only. We have talked about Vasishtha, who single-handedly ran a university. So they were very much in the flux of life. So it has to be achieved when we are in samsara, with the family, with children, with our jobs. Every one of, in addition to that, we have got to do. So the Veda says that only those who make their environment tranquil. Environment is disturbed, but because of the Rishi's presence, the entire environment is made tranquil. So when he makes it tranquil, he creates an atmosphere where he can function with total calmness in spite of all the flux. That is why when you stand on the shore of an ocean, even if you see an enormous amount of turmoil and raging waves, you see a calmness in that. You see an extraordinary peace when you stand in front of the ocean. And then, a couple of other definitions of a rishi. Dhiyo vipro ajayata. One who is Vipra. Vipra means one who knows perfectly. Vipra is usually translated as a Brahmin, a Brahmana, as defined by characteristic in guna and karma. Such a Brahmana, because he is endowed with intelligence, he became a Rishi. So again, first we should become a Brahmana. How to become a Brahmana? By means of Yama and Nema, the two aspects of yoga. Not by birth. Birth is useless. In fact, there is a very derogatory term used for those who are just born in the jati, in the caste of a Brahmin. They are you called Brahma Bandhus. Brahma Bandhu is a very derogatory word which means he is only born as a Brahmin but does not have a single quality of being a Brahman. So therefore, not to be called as a Brahma Bandhu, it is very essential that Yama has to be observed. Then, Rishayaha Satyavachasaha. They are the one who unflinchingly always say the truth, think the truth, perform, act according to truth. Then, when the new creation takes place, such people will be chosen to become the next rishis. Mahabharata. Yugante Antarhitan Vedan. In the beginning of the new era, those Vedas, knowledge which is actually hidden, Sa Itihasan, along with the Itihasa, Maharshayaha, the great sages, Tapasa Lebhire Purvam, by means of contemplation, they got all this knowledge. By whom? Anujñāta Swayambhavaha, who were actually instructed by Brahman. So just as in your enterprise, you look for the best talent to promote. How do you do as a manager? You are always looking for whom you should promote. All the time. That is the hallmark of a good manager. It is a hallmark of a good manager to train a person who is capable of doing better and getting promoted and to promote. This is what Brahma, the creator, does. So he will be looking for those jivas of this capacity and then he will call them and choose them. That means they were the chosen few. You see in the Bhagavad Gita also, and Bhagavad Gita is very simplified explanations of all these profound concepts. He says to Arjuna, hey Arjuna, do you know why I am teaching you all these things? Why did I choose you to teach? Not Duryodhana, not Yudhishthira, not even Bhima. Why did I do this? Sakheti, Bhakteti, Bhakteti, Me Sakhacheti. 4th chapter. Saketi bhakta cheti. Rahasyam, this secret I am telling you. See, this is how the Lord chooses a person to instruct. So only when we develop such a relationship with Ishvara, one can become a rishi. And once you become a rishi, then what do you pray? Bhuyo bhuyo namamyaham. Again and again I have got to prostrate before you. That is why in the entire Namaka Prashna we say Namaskara so many times. It is this person who says Bhuyo bhuyo namaha namaha namaha. Then sometimes what happens is a person is promoted and then ignored or demoted or fired. Isn't it? This happens. So let us see if Swayambhuva Manu does this to a rishi also. Now the Shastra says no, because forever for such rishis there is no kshaya or decay, and there is no nasha, there is no destruction. Once they are chosen forever. Evidence. Rigveda. Na sajiyate marutaha na hanyate na shredhati na vyathate na rishyati na asya raya upadasyanti no taya rushim. Simplified. In a very simple manner, Krishna says, Nahi kalyanakrit kaschit durgatim tata gacchati. The difficult Veda mantra is so simplified by our Gita Acharya. Says anybody who does good will never perish. So the rishis receive the meaning. So now it's not only the mantra, but also they receive the meaning. How do they receive the meaning? They receive it because of their yajna. Yajnena vachaha padaviyamayan. So why did I mention this? It is because as soon as one starts getting knowledge, we start becoming skeptical about ritual. We start telling about yajna, puja, temple, worship, tirtha yatra. All this is only for those beginners. That is how we actually make little of this extraordinary practice. So a rishi is the one who always traveled all the time. If you look at Mahabharata, Ramayana, Puranas, the rishis constantly went to Tirtha, constantly traveled. And wherever they were only atithis. Atithi means they stayed only one night. And when they were there, they would never go from that place without teaching something new. So thus it is prescribed that mantranusandhana has to be done by remembering those great sages, Rishi, Devata, Chandas. So we will get into the study of the Rudradhyaya itself. The first two mantras were discovered by the great sage Atreya. So while we are studying, wherever some source is available to me, I will also talk about the personality of those rishis, so that our experience of the Rudradhyaya will feel better.